Hello, how's your gardening year going so far? Well, here at Homegrown Veg in the UK, it's been a war zone. Well, I exaggerate, but it's definitely been a battle. We've been battling the elements. At the beginning of the year, we had several storms blow through, and I mean blow through. And they brought a lot of rain with them, and a large part of the UK was under flood water. The storms were so bad that here at Homegrown Veg I nearly lost the greenhouse. Once the storms got past us and we moved from early spring to late spring, early summer, the weather picked up, and we've just had the sunniest May on record, and records have been kept for nearly 100 years. And so we moved from lots and lots of wind and rain to lots and lots of sunshine. Hello. We've had a really tough month here at Homegrown Veg. in the bucket garden. We've had wall-to-wall sunshine for the whole of the month. In fact, we've had more sunshine in May than we've ever had before since records began. We've had that much sunshine. And if you've ever grown anything in containers, you'll know that it's key that containers are kept moist. You can't let them dry out. And that's what these containers, that's what these buckets have been wanting to do, dry out. So what I did, and you can't do this with a square foot garden, and you can't do this with a raised bed, but you can do it with a square foot bucket garden. I moved all the buckets out of the garden up against the property and got them out of the sun as best I could. And earlier on in the month, before the sunshine actually kicked in, at the back end of the previous month, we got some biting winds across the garden, and that was wanting to destroy some of these veg. So again, I'd moved them up against the property. The sunshine has just left us, but we've got lots and lots of wind again. think I mentioned in previous videos that one of the things we can do when we're growing at home, particularly if we're growing in buckets or bags or containers, we can move them from their usual position to somewhere out of the sun, if the sun's an issue, or out of the wind, if the wind's an issue. So these are ex-cut flower water buckets. They're 10-inch diameter and 10 inches deep. They have holes drilled in the bottom to make them into pots. So these are the pots I'm growing in, these are the flower buckets I'm growing in, and there are 16 in a pattern 4 by 4, and that's a 4 foot by 4 foot footprint. If you've got a 4 foot by 4 foot footprint, you might be able to do this. Because the weather has been so changeable in the early part of the year, a lot of plants will have become stressed. Too much water, too much wind, too much sunshine, too many extremes. And when plants become stressed, they can quickly bolt and go to seed. These are some of my fruit, herbs and vegetables growing in yogurt pots. These will not stand in strong winds, they'll just blow over. They're so small, and these are big plants in small containers. But I've got them in this crate, and this crate will hold them firm. But there's other ways of doing it. If you haven't got one of these crates, there are other ways of doing it, and I'll show you that. But hey, while we've got these up, let's have a quick look at them. Let's see what we're growing here. Lettuce looks okay. Celery, I think you can probably see the wind damage on the leaves, but I had to move smart to get these out of the winds that we've just been having, and I took them into the greenhouse. It's a nice beetroot just starting to swell out, but I don't know what these would have looked like if they'd been left to the mercy of the wind. Little strawberry plant, wild strawberry. It's got a couple of strawberries on there now. That's not looking too bad, is it? And let's see what we've got in back. Let's have a look in back. Well, these chives are flowering. Chives are looking okay. Shallots are starting to split off. That's kohlrabi or kohlrabi. I think that's how it's pronounced, kohlrabi. That would definitely blow over in a wind. And we've got some mint growing in this. But yeah, so these are easily moved out of the wind. If you've got one of these blue crates, but if you haven't got a blue crate, I'll just show you another way you can prevent these guys from falling over. This is one of my 10-inch water buckets, and on the face of it, it looks as though we've got a nice head of lettuce growing in here. We've got some celery growing, we've got some chives growing in back here, and we've got an onion growing, all in that one 10-inch water bucket. In actual fact, these guys are all growing in yogurt pots. Let me show you them. And because they're standing in this water bucket, they can't blow over. So there is a degree of wind protection here from this water bucket. And if you don't have any of those blue crates, then you might be able to get the protection you need by standing your yogurt pots in a flower pot. That's if you're growing in yogurt pots. Now there's one last thing I want to show you before we wind this video up, because it's a fairly lengthy video. I've already mentioned that things can become stressed with extremes of weather, and we've had them. So things have become stressed in this garden, and generally what happens is they bolt. They run to seed, they go to seed. I'm just going to show you some vegetables, or a vegetable that is bolted and one that hasn't bolted, and you'll notice the difference immediately. This is beetroot growing in a yogurt pot. I think you might be able to see it there. I'm fairly sure you will be able to. And that beetroot looks as though it's doing okay. I'd like to think we'll get a beetroot across the finish line in this yogurt pot. But if this beetroot gets stressed, if this yogurt pot dries out, and it's quite easy for small pots to dry out, beetroot will get stressed and it'll bolt. And what will it look like? I'm going to show you. It'll look like this. There's the seed head. There it is. This beetroot has become stressed and it's bolted, so I will not get a beetroot from this plant this year. And if you're growing beetroot, they're looking like this, you're not going to get a beetroot. And if you're growing carrots and they've threw up a tall, thin stem, you're not going to get a carrot. So that's a characteristic of a vegetable that's gone to seed. It throws up a very tall central stem, the flower head on the top. If you have a look at your veg later today or tomorrow, and you've any that are head and shoulders above the rest, they've gone to seed. And if they've gone to seed, you will not get a vegetable off that plant. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this video. This is Homegrown Veg, signing out.